My name is Chebet Birir, Laura. I was born in Kitale District Hospital. I am a mother and a journalist by profession. Growing up, I grew up partly in Kitale, partly in Eldoret, and partly in Nairobi because my dad used to work in Nairobi. So we would come to Nairobi to visit him and stay for a bit. So I'd say I grew up in Kitale, Eldoret, and Nairobi. Eldoret because my mom used to work in Eldoret. Yeah, so growing up, I grew up in we were not poor and we were not rich. I'd say it was a stable family where our parents provided what they could, so we didn't lack. I wouldn't say I lacked. I met my now husband in high school. We dated for many years until after campus we had a baby. We had not planned for her, but you know, God's plan. So it was not easy because I just finished campus. I cleared campus in 2016. So when I got pregnant, I was so uncertain about so many things. How will I provide for my child? Are we even at a position to cater for our own needs in the first place? So it was really a challenging journey. But when I talked to my mother, my father, our parents actually understood, so they stood with us throughout the journey. But still, you know, you're just from campus and you don't have a job. In my mind, I was supposed to clear campus, get a job, get married, then, you know, a kid. But now this was a child out of wedlock first. Second, we can't cater for her. At least that's what we thought. But you know, God was able to help us cater for the child later when she came. So I would say it was a really not so easy journey, but with support from family, of course, we managed to get through. So I gave birth in Eldoret, yes, where my mother-in-law stays. So I was at my in-laws when I gave birth. It was easier because they were there for me. My mother-in-law was there for me. She's a great soul. But 3 months later, about 3 months after I gave birth, I fell into depression, postpartum depression. And I can say it was not easy. I remember the first time it started, it was Easter holiday, I think April. And the in-laws were coming to pay a visit to the child now, the cousins, my husband's cousins. So it was a huge bash. There was a tent. There was a lot of food. It was a whole celebration altogether. My mother-in-law is so extra. I love her for that. So it shook me. Like, where this? I didn't know it was all this. So I think that is a trigger. That was a trigger for me. I was wondering now, all these people, all these celebrations, why? So I kept asking myself, hey, it looked like what's going on? So the depression kicked in when I started asking myself questions. Maybe it was a wedding and I didn't know. You know, it was now getting into delusions, believing things that don't exist. Maybe it was a wedding. Maybe they were telling me bye. You know, like so many questions were running through my mind. Thoughts until I was thinking a lot until I could not sleep. For days, I could not eat. For days, I didn't want to get out of the room. For days, I think at least 3-4 days, my mother-in-law noticed, I'm not okay. So when she noticed, when she actually gave me food, I refused the food, and that's when she noticed things are not okay. And she called my other family members, and they took me to hospital. And by the time we reached hospital, I was seeing my own things. I was starting to hear people say things that actually I realized didn't exist, things that were not actually real then. People were saying, oh, now she's not even a good mother. You're not a good person to your child. You know, at the tukifika hospitali sasa, there were a lot of people, you know, normally people are admitted to hospital before go. So I felt like all these people have come to see me, just me. And they were all talking insults and all that. So I panicked, I was paranoid. I was like, everybody is against me. Everybody wants me to die because I'm not a good person. I'm not a good mother. So it kept eating me up until I was just delusional. Yani, it was bad. At that point, I tell you, I didn't even know my baby existed. Like, I was being told to breastfeed. I'm like, no, this is not my child. Maybe I didn't even give birth in the first place. Maybe I wasn't even pregnant in the first place. Can you believe that? Like, I was believing things that don't actually, they're not real. I remember I refused kabisa to be injected because I thought they want to inject me and kill me. So I want to die, but again, I don't want to die. It was just conflicting thoughts. And then